So the difference between an approach, a design, and procedure. Okay. So if you like following along in the text, they spoke about this right at the beginning of the chapter. Okay, and this is just so we have the language to describe what we're talking about. So an approach is like a large theory or philosophy. It's very big. Okay. Then when we get more specific, we get to the design, which design includes specific objectives or roles. And then you have the procedure, which is a very specific technique or practice that you would use in your classroom. Okay? So it's set up like this pyramid where the things that happen on a daily basis in your classroom are usually little tiny parts of a larger approach. Sometimes just one, but most of the time we are using more than one approach at the same time, right? Okay. So this is just very general, which you probably already know. So if, for example, if we did this with a specific approach, I think this is a little hard to see. There we go. Okay. So if we talk about the approach being, for example, the communicative approach, okay, part of the communicative approach is project-based learning. Okay, so that's smaller. Okay, that goes into design. Then as part of the design of project-based learning, you might assign a group project where each student has a specific role. Okay, so that's just how it all fits together. Okay, this really is just a basis so we have the language to discuss these things. Mostly what we're going to be talking about today are approaches. Okay. As we go forward, we're going to talk much more about design and procedure. Okay? So what are those specific things that you do with this approach? Yes?
Please, can you send these PowerPoints later?
They are all on the website.
Oh.
It's already there. Okay?
Thank you.
So if you miss something, it's there for you later. Okay? So what I'd like you to do now is we're going to do a little jigsaw. Does everybody know what jigsaw is? It's not exactly a game. It's a process of giving a little piece of knowledge to each group, not one group having all of the knowledge, and then sharing those pieces to make a whole part, to make a whole, okay? So each group here is going to look at one of the specific historical approaches. Typically, these are not used now, but some still are, okay? And then they will report back to the group as a whole what that particular approach is about, okay? So each group is only going to do one. You can use your notes to look. The book really does a nice job of telling you exactly what each approach is about. But I would like you to try not to use the exact words from the book. Put it into your own words. Okay? So group 1, you're going to take the grammar translation approach. Group 2, direct method. Group 3, reform movement. Group 4, in the middle, reading approach. Group 5, audiolingual approach. And group 6, way in the back, oral situational approach. Okay? These are all in the textbook. Just want you to, so what I want you to think about are what are the main principles or elements of the method? What type of problems might there be with that method? And why do you think it was, for the most part, stopped? Most people don't use these approaches anymore. Okay, why? Okay? I'll give you 5 minutes and then we'll see where we are. I forgot to turn the camera on for the first 20 minutes. Sorry. One minute left. Okay, time's up. I need the buzzer. I should have set the timer, but I wanted you to see the questions. Time's up! There we go. Okay, so just very briefly, if your group could report back to us. When I ask for these kinds of reports, I like to have each person in the group say one little part. So that would be lovely if you would like to try that. Let's see how it goes with group 1, grammar translation.
I would say one thing always, it's teacher-centered.
Teacher-centered. Okay, grammar translation
translation.
is teacher-centered. What else is grammar translation?
It's focused on vocabulary.
Focused on vocabulary. Okay.
They don't worry about communication.
Communication, not important.
Yes.
Mhm.
Teacher does not have to be fluent in English.
Teacher does not need to be fluent. In fact, most of the instruction happens in Portuguese, for example. Okay?
So no interaction at all.
Very, very minimal interaction in English if you were to use the grammar translation approach. Okay? So that's the first one. Okay? Direct method.
It's an alternative to grammar translation.
Okay?
The importance, the target language was used in the classroom.
Almost exclusively.
Yes.
Okay? Target language almost exclusively used. Okay?
It was based on the notion that a language cannot be taught. You have to create conditions for the learning process.
Okay, so giving lots of input in the target language. Okay, good. Anything else?
Grammar inductively.
Inductively. What does that mean, to learn grammar inductively?
Using it, but
Context, using it, yeah, but not direct grammar instructions, right? So here's what we had. We had grammar translation, which was all in Portuguese, focused on grammar and vocabulary. And next came along all English, pictures, no explicit grammar. The opposite, yeah, basically. Okay. And then the reform movement.
First, they are taught the spoken form. They use the phonetics to teach. The teachers must know a lot about phonetics. They had a significant influence on the approaches that followed.
Okay, and because they started to think a lot about speaking and pronunciation. Okay, so now we went from grammar to all in English to speaking and pronunciation. And the reading approach.
Well, the students have a text and they learn the grammar just that has in the text.
They learn grammar through the text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the grammar usable to understand the text.
Okay, so it's about understanding the text. Yep. Anything else for the reading approach?
Controlled vocabulary. So we just use the vocabulary to translate the text.
Yes. So just the vocabulary that's important to the reading. Yeah. Reading comprehension is number 1. Okay. Anything else from the reading approach?
The problem is that it's focused on only the reading skill. So
One skill. Yeah. Yeah.
And teacher didn't have, it was not necessary to speak in English.
Yeah, they didn't have to really know how to speak the target language. Yeah, that's interesting. Always. Audiolingual.
The main principles were they were based on repetition and mainly in a short time of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the problems would come because they wouldn't have the opportunity to have a better vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And would have a restrict.
Very restricted.
Very restrict.
They
Yeah.
feel the behaviorism. Because everybody remember the Skinner lesson.
Drills.
Yeah,
Drills.
The learners had to repeat everything.
Why did they do that? What was the assumption? If they repeated it a lot, then what?
They will reproduce the
They would be able to reproduce it. What's the problem with that idea?
If you want to change something,
You're out of luck, right? Yeah. So if there's a different
program,
yeah.
it should be that in this kind of method of approach, there is no context involved.
Yes.
So it's a kind of that's distance from the reality. It's a kind of just let's say everyday. You don't have to have your discourse in English. It's impossible because you were trained just like it was done in another kind of experiences. That's on the war period, and then people were trained to speak another language on their daily need, but they are not able to think in English or other language.
Okay. So there's not that ability to use what they're learning anywhere else.
Yeah.
Is that what you're okay? Okay. Good. And last but not least, the oral situational approach. Oral situational.
Oral situation. I'm going to answer the first question. So the first question about the main principles we found here. We found that this approach advocates organized structures around situation. For example, at the farmers, at the restaurant, they provide the learner with maximum opportunity to practice the art language.
It means it emphasizes the practice of speaking. Yeah?
In certain situations. Yeah, they were very focused on like, okay, what happens if I go to the bank? Let's talk about all the things that might happen if I have to go to the bank, right? Or the restaurant or whatever. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it's centered around these situations that you would commonly be in.
Brazil at the moment, because of the World Cup, tax drivers, they are receiving classes like that.
Interesting.
Focused
on what kinds of conversations they might have to have, huh? Okay.
The local government is offering free courses for taxi drivers, for receptionists, to have this kind of communication, just in order to help in easy situations, fast situations.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but the problem is.
Yes. What is the problem?
Go to some problem because I think the most problem is about memorization. When you have to memorize something, depends on the professionals. They have a kind of difficulty to memorize texts, to read texts, and to learn by heart, as we say.
Okay, so they may have difficulty memorizing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were to try to come up with one overall problem that all of these methods sort of have, what would you say it is?
One ignores the other.
They are ignoring parts, right? Yeah. It's not a whole approach. First it was grammar, then it was speaking, then it was reading, then it was this. So it was not really about putting everything together at the same time, right? However, with that said, some of these approaches are still used, okay? Does anyone use any of these approaches? And there's nothing wrong with using them as long as they're part of a larger idea, right? Who uses some of these sometimes? Sure. Okay. Sure. But you put it together with other things.
Structure.
Sure. Okay.
There are.
Structure, repetition. Yeah, speaking drills. Lots of people still like to do that. Yeah. Okay. Good. Any questions about any of these historical methods? You got the main ideas? Excellent. Now, moving on to the things that are more common nowadays. We're going to do something a little bit different. You can use your book as a reference, okay? And you may have to come a little closer in order to see this. This is a word cloud. Have you guys ever used these before?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I like these. This particular one, they're almost all the same size, but this is perfect for determining main idea. If you have students who struggle with it, you can copy text and paste it into Wordle, Okay? And it will produce a word cloud. And the words that are the most important are bigger. Okay? Words that appear the most frequently are larger in the word cloud, which automatically, for people who are visually oriented, gives them an idea of what the important things are. Okay? So if you haven't used these, it can be very helpful for students who struggle with finding the main idea. Because of that, it picks out the words that are repeated very often, while getting rid of words like the, those common words that we know are not important to the meaning. Okay, so if you have students who struggle with that, this is great. Wordle.net is where you can do it. That's also on the website for us, so don't worry if you don't write it down. So now what we're going to do is kind of try to match these words that are over on the right in the word cloud with the approach that is over here on the left. Okay? So I want you to do, we'll do a stand-up, hand-up, pair-up, I think. Think, pair, share. Okay. So for this, what we're going to do is a think, pair, share. Has anyone heard this strategy before? No. This is what's called the Kagan strategy. We're going to be using a lot of these. They're for cooperative learning. Jigsaw is one of them. For some reason, it's one that everyone knows. What we're going to use this time is think, pair, share, which you can see up at the top there. Okay. That means first you have a second to think to yourself about which words go with which approach. Then you're going to find a partner, okay, just one other person. It does not have to be the person sitting next to you. You can stand up and move around, okay? And then you are going to share your answers, how you grouped these words with the approach, okay? Does everybody understand this process?
Yeah.
Okay, so match the words with the approach, then share your answers with a partner. Okay? Go. You might have to come closer to see the words.
There are 2 words or more for one topic.
There are there are at least 2. So find 2, yeah, and you'll be good.
2 for each one.
2 for each one. Okay? If you find 2 for each one, you will be good to go. You can use your textbook. Feel free to use your textbook if you can't remember.
Oh, cognitive.
So for this strategy, you should be, the think part, where you're pairing the words with the approach, should be just you. Don't go with a partner until you're done. Okay?
Social the first one, and
How many words for each one?
If you can find two.
Two. There are more than two.
There might, in some lessons.
Okay.
I heard. Depois a gente vai ver os itens. This one.
Yes. If you understand if I were to say, I'm looking out the window and I can see the trees up there. And the people are wearing big dresses. I eat fur. It's like an educated where is inference? Yes.
Oh yeah.
When you infer no, you should go try. Here just means environment. Peers are other women in the world. So we are all peers.
Yeah.
One is
The word song.
Yeah, there music. We have music. Oh yeah, songs. I did see it. It's right here. You can also, when you organize the Wordle, you can have them put the words in alphabetical order. So when you text, you can have
I like that.
Okay, ready or not? We're gonna go. Who is ready? Who is ready? Almost. If I give you 2 more minutes, will you be ready?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I will give you 2 more minutes. 5 is too many. One minute. Get as many as you can.
There's silent.
There's a synonym for silent. There is a synonym for silent.
Individualized, right? Individualized.
Not exactly. Okay, time's up. If you don't have them all, it is okay. We're going to play popcorn to get the answers. Which means I'm going to toss the ball at you, and you will just say one vocabulary word, one matching word for that approach before tossing the ball to someone else. Okay? So, cognitive approach. Just one word. Immersion. Okay, one only. Immersion? We'll take version. Okay, toss it to someone else. Chomsky, definitely Chomsky, for sure. Toss it to someone else.
I didn't understand. Could you repeat this, please?
Chomsky?
Yeah.
Chomsky.
No one Chomsky.
No Chomsky.
Linguistic. The linguistic. Okay.
I must follow the notes.
Keep going with cognitive, because there are a few more I want to hit with that one.
Well, I haven't put anything else, only Chomsky.
Only Chomsky. Toss it to somebody else.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Behaviorist could be?
Toss. Behavior? Sure, we'll take that. Okay. Let's pause there. Here are the words that I had for cognitive. Rules.
I put rules.
Good. Individualize. Patterns. Hold on. Patterns. Inductive. Vocabulary.
Writing.
Reading, writing.
Inference. I also have inference here. Okay. There are other possibilities, but those are the main ones. Okay. Rules, Chomsky, and patterns being, I think, of particular importance. Okay.
How about custom-based?
I have that somewhere else.
And not really on this.
I don't have it on this one. There's no reason it couldn't be. And sometimes things get combined. But from the summaries here, I did not have it under cognitive. Okay. All right. Effective humanistic. Let's start that one. You've got it. Respect. Good. Respect. Toss. Positive. Excellent. Toss.
Social.
Yes. Excellent. Toss.
Excuse me. I put social too. Anybody else?
Meaning based.
For effective humanistic? I'll take it. Although I think we have others. Okay, one more.
Pairs.
Pairs. Good. Anyone else?
Respect.
Yep, we got respect. Good. Okay. So I think for these groups, groups positive we got. Social we got. Peers.
What is peers?
Peers is like classmates. People in your drama, no. Okay. Yes.
Whole place can be because of groups. Whole play.
Role play. I have that somewhere else.
Whole play can be a suggestive opinion, isn't it?
We'll see when we get there. Hold on. All right, who's got the ball?
Yeah.
All right, toss it for comprehension based. Listening. Excellent. Task based. Okay. Carlos, I think that was for you. We can take rules also. I would say the other ones for this one are non-verbal. Okay.
Immersion.
We could put immersion for this one as well, I think. Yeah.
Comprehensive based approach.
We have the ones I had were listening, non-verbal, and meaning-based.
Rule learning.
But that doesn't make the other ones wrong. Okay, it just means that's what I picked. Communicative.
Drama.
Drama. Yes.
Groups.
Also groups, yes.
Role play.
Role play. Absolutely. Who was that for?
Be social as well? Social?
Could also be social.
Communicative.
Communication. Yep.
Communication.
Yep.
No, I was checking.
Oh, you were checking. Okay, yes.
I'm sorry, but I think it's a bit too fast. I
Okay.
got lost.
Okay. Yeah, we're on
I wrote
communicative.
communication.
Communication.
In communicative.
Okay. Any more?
Listening. Task-based.
Task-based.
Listening.
Immersion. Social also. All right, let's stop with communicative because there was a lot for that one. Okay. I had task-based, content-based, immersion, communication, social, pairs, groups, role play, drama, authentic, and integrated. There was a lot for communicative. Yes.
Can you say that content-based is something that has to do with this or not?
Content-based is communicative, yes. Good. Next one, the silent way. Who's still holding it? Tatiani?
Inductive.
Inductive. Excellent.
Role play?
Silent way?
No, non-verbal.
Nonverbal. Excellent. There's one more maybe for silent way.
Circle.
Visuals. Visuals is the other one I had for silent way. Good. But circle goes with the next one, community language learning. Okay? Yes.
Is reading related to silent way?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't have it on
Vocabulary.
this
Can I
list.
say that?
You could say it.
Right?
You could I think you can argue a lot of these. There's not necessarily one right or wrong answer, except for there are some that are very important. And what we're highlighting are the ones that are very important to that idea. Okay. Hold on to that one. Okay, so community language learning. Yes. Translate. Good. So for that, really, I just had circle and translate. That's the big one for that. So now, TPR, total physical response. No, what you just said before. Commands. Okay? So this would be, for example, I would teach you English by saying, stand up. And you would stand up. And then I would say, take out a pen. And you would take out a pen. Okay? That's total physical response. And the last one, Suggestopedia. Carlos, you've got the ball. Hold on. Suggestopedia.
Role play.
I don't have it there, but sure. There is some.
Music.
Music. Where's the ball?
It's here.
Okay, great. Music. Yes. What else? Toss it.
That's it.
Drama.
Songs.
Script.
Script.
Script. Yes. I'm sorry, Joao. I heard you, but you were not holding the ball. Script. Music. What else?
What else?
Who's got the ball? Choral. Good. Okay. So these last four. I shouldn't give the children toys. These last four, the silent way, community language learning, total physical response, Suggestopedia, to be honest, they're a little weird. Okay, but people started trying all kinds of crazy things in the attempt to get students to learn a language. And there's, as we said, there are a lot of different approaches. And as long as you don't just think one thing is going to do it, you're fine. Okay? So I want to start talking about how these things apply to you now that we have, a little bit of an overview. Think about the Fong article again, what we talked about first, okay, this. What did it seem like this article was focusing on? They talked a lot in the processing instructions section. That's the part where they were recommending a specific type of approach. What were they recommending?
Keep in mind the process of learning.
The learning process.
Yes.
And also, they talked about grammar a lot.
Grammar.
Okay. And that to me sounds like we're going all the way back to the beginning with grammar translation type of approaches. And this article was written in 2010. So the point of all this is just to say that educational theory and ideas changes all the time. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. And certain things become popular, and then everyone does them for 2 years, and then we change to something else for some reason. But it's always good to keep in mind that, you know, your learners are the center of it, and what works for them is the thing that you should do, right? So, which approach do you believe that you currently use most frequently in your classroom? And it could be a couple of different approaches together, okay? And after reading chapter 1, are there any other approaches that you think you would like to adapt? Because we don't say adopt, that means you take it as it is. Adapt means you change it to fit you, right? So think about what approaches you currently use, okay? And which approaches you think sound interesting and you might like to try, okay? So just take a couple minutes of think time and then I'll ask you to share. Yes?
I heard, I don't know much about that. Once when I was in my master course, I heard about systemic grammar.
What is it?
Systemic grammar.
Systemic grammar.
Yeah.
No, I'll have to look it up. More about it? Okay. Let me write it down and come back with it next time. So discuss, what are you currently doing? What might you like to do?
época da the name of the recorder was Ben American. The name of the
What did you say?
In France,
Well, I think so. Because it's not much to say. I would like to it's comprehensive
So I'm just going to ask for a show of hands. No right or wrong answer. If you're listening, say hi. Hi. If you're listening, say hello. Hello. If you're listening, yell 3. 3. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to say the name of an approach, okay? And if you feel like you use it, you may raise your hand. I think this will be good to see who's doing what. You may raise your hand more than once, okay? Because it's likely that you use more than one approach. I hope you use more than one approach, okay? No wrong answers. If you like grammar translation, okay. All right? Grammar translation. Okay. Direct method. Very interesting. Okay. Yes? Yes, direct method. Okay. Reform movement. Reform movement. Phonetics. Yeah. Phonetics and pronunciation.
Yeah.
Reading approach.
Reading for specific purposes.
Focusing on reading comprehension for specific purposes. Wow, okay. Okay. Audiolingual approach.
Sometimes drills in it.
Okay. Oral situational, organizing around situations like at the restaurant, at the movies. Cognitive approach, focusing on rules, patterns, inductive reasoning. Sure, that doesn't have to be all the time. It's not like you're saying yes to, you know. Effective humanistic, worrying about respect in groups and pairs and social experience.
If I don't do it,
comprehension-based, thinking about how much your students are understanding, meaning you. Okay? Communicative approach with tasks and specific content. Focus on communication, role play, drama.
More than reading.
Silent way. Okay. Community language learning. Community language learning. Total physical response. Demands. Having them stand up, sit down, and say. Suggestopedia. Okay. So what this tells me is that all of you are using a nice variety of methods. Okay. And it also tells me that you're thinking about which one you should use for which situation, just what I'm hearing, which is what you should be doing. Very nice. Are there any approaches that you learned about that you felt you want to learn more about? Are there any of the approaches that we discussed today that you think, I want to find out more about that approach?
Total physical.
Total physical response. Okay.
Because I use this.
Cognitive.
I use this as the English course that I teach. I have a great feedback, but not at the school that I teach. I think it would be interesting to learn more about it.
Okay.
I'd like to have more suggestions in group, in purpose groups.
Okay.
If this is effective, don't you?
Yeah. So how to use pairs and group work effectively. So I tried to do think, pair, share with you guys today, and you still kept working in your whole group, which sometimes happens. But most of the time when we're doing something like jigsaw or think, pair, share or the tossing the ball, I will try to call your attention to it because I'm choosing those for a reason. Those are specific ways to try to get everyone to participate. And there's a list of those on the website also. Okay, so we usually call that cooperative learning as opposed to group work. Group work has a different meaning than cooperative learning does. Okay, group work, we think of 5 people in a group, usually one person's doing the work and the other 4 are goofing off or whatever. Cooperative learning means everyone in the group has some sort of purpose or goal. Okay, so we'll talk more about that as we go through. Any others?
I'd like to know more about
Suggestopedia, okay.
You know why? Because I'd like to learn more about the reform movement.
Okay.
Because I think that we could improve and accurate the listening.
Okay.
And speaking.
Okay, listening and speaking. Okay.
I'd like to learn more about science weight.
Great. So we pretty much want to learn more about everything. Awesome. That's good. I'm glad you want to learn. Excellent.
What's involved now?
Yeah.
Is communication.
Yes.
And, but we need to be reminded of what we really have to do.
Sure.
Because it's kind of getting everything together, putting in a blender, and okay.
Yes, turn it on. Yeah, and yes, communicative approach is in vogue now. Who's to say that 5 years from now it's not going to be back to something else? So that's why having this balanced approach of looking at everything, can be useful to us. Okay. Okay. Quickly, moving on. We have to talk about observations. Tomorrow, you are doing your first classroom observation. Do you all know where you're going?
No.
Okay. Wait, I have some yes and some no. Yes, it's that chart.
I have it here.
Okay.
But I don't have the place for the cake.
Okay, it's on this, right? So it's on like the second page where it says building room. That's where you're going to go. Okay, and you're going to the one that's listed for the 17th of January.
West
South College. Yeah.
College, this one, isn't it?
No.
It's South.
No. 318 South College, which is where most of you are going tomorrow, is very close to the inn. Yay for you. Now, unfortunately, there is no coffee between the International and 318 South College. So you might have to detour for coffee. But, yes. So, on this map, if we're doing this, okay? The inn is here. The inn is here. Okay? You are going here. Okay? Basically, you're just going to walk down Park Place. Very, very close, like 2 blocks. Okay? Close to the inn. Okay? If you're looking at your map, you are going to number 27. Okay? The only exception is Peace and Frogmire. You guys are going to 102 East Main. Pancakes. Where the IHOP is.
Oh, but
Okay, there. Then, yes. Okay. So everybody knows where they're going tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, as Michael said, you are supposed to be silent observers in these particular classes.
Yeah.
Whose map did I say?
Like a ghost.
Like a ghost, yeah. There's 4:15.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I've noticed that some of you are starting to pack up. This class ends at 4:15, not 4 o'clock. Just
Really? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to tell you about it. Don't worry. Okay. So here's what you're going to do for the classroom observation. You will have 6 of them, 1 each week. Okay? Each of your observations will have a different focus based on what we're talking about in here. So, here's what's going to happen. Okay, so that's what basically this says at the top. Okay? Because if you try to focus on everything at once, it's too much. Alright? So, weeks 1 and 2, that's this observation and the one you will do on Monday. You have another no, not Monday. Sorry. We have no class Monday. Anyway, the next 2, okay? You will focus on identifying and analyzing teaching methods. Okay? So here are the questions that you will answer from your observation. Down at the bottom here for weeks 1 and 2. So this will be your first 2 observations. Okay? Number 1, tell me what class you observed. Not that hard. Okay? What class? What level? Okay. Number 2, was the teacher a native speaker or non-native speaker of English? Because we do have a couple non-native speakers who teach here. Okay. Number 3, list the procedures, techniques, practices, behaviors that the teacher used during class. So what did you see them doing? Okay. And then from that list, I want you to try to determine what approach you believe is the one they are mainly using. Okay, so try to identify, are they using communicative? Are they using humanistic? Which one do you think is driving their teaching? Okay. Do you believe the approach was successful? That's question number 5. Okay, so did the students appear to be understanding, participating, etc.? Okay. And then number 6, do you feel that this approach would work for you and your students? Why or why not? What might you need to change in order to make it work? Okay. This will be, so for 2 observations, you're going to see 2 classes. You just have to answer these 6 questions. That's it.
Where? Here?
Take a few notes, okay? And you're going to come to class and tell the other people in your group about your observations.
We don't need to give you a paper.
You're not going to write a paper. You're just going to talk to your group members.
And I can
Notes, however, are helpful. What you will be graded on is down back here on the back. Okay, so are you prepared for the discussion? Do you have notes? Okay. Are you able to do it in 5 minutes? That's what you're aiming for. Okay, not 15 or 20. 5 minutes, not that long. Okay. Do you fulfill your role in the group? Everybody will have a role. And can you make the presentation clearly? Okay. So
and
that's
I can make the presentation with Hosanna, for example, that she's my partner. No observation.
You can work together to answer these questions, but you might be in different groups when you come to class.
Okay.
Okay? Does everybody understand this assignment? Yeah, hold on. I can only do one question at a time. Yes.
Sorry about my questions. If you guys are wrong.
No, it's okay.
Maybe take pictures or
I would say if you want to do that, go a little early and ask the teacher if it's okay. My guess is that different teachers may feel differently. Okay, so I would ask the teacher. Any other questions about the assignment or the observations?
When is the presentation?
So you will talk about this. As you see here, it says the presentation is January 23rd. That is next Thursday. Okay? Next Thursday. Okay. There will be 2 of them. The first one is next Thursday. Okay? Any other questions about what you are supposed to do?
So you have only one?
Only one? Still have only one. Okay. But here's the thing. You can also think about, Carla has her calendar, and she reminded me that there will only be one formal observation. But you're observing me. You're observing your workshop presenters. You're observing when you're listening speaking classes. You can certainly talk about, bring those things in
I
as
observe
well.
you a lot.
You observe
to my
Okay.
final project. So
All right. That makes me that makes me want to do this. Okay. Any other questions about this assignment? Okay. Now, one more thing before we go, I think. Any thoughts that you would like to share about the 2 workshops you have already had? You had teaching low-level writers yesterday, and oral intelligibility this morning, which you'll have a second part tomorrow. What was interesting to you? What did you like? What might you use back in your classes? Anybody want to share any thoughts or impressions?
I liked both, but the first one was more difficult.
Was?
I liked both.
But
the first one was more difficult.
More difficult to understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the concepts about linguistics, input them, I think that is complex.
Okay. Is there anybody that felt they had really, really understood the presentation about teaching low-level writers? Like it was very clear to you?
Yes.
Raise your hand. It was very clear. Great. Find one of those people and talk to them if you have questions. Okay. I can't go to all of these. Sometimes I wish I could, just so I can see what you're learning. Okay. But anything else from either presentation that you found useful or helpful, or that you might?
The colloquial way of speaking today, I think it was very interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, wanna,
Today's
gonna.
workshop that he told about the way we speak and how fast we can link the words.
Linking and reductions.
Linking and
And
reductions.
he is great. Then it's a little difficult because everything was for me everything was interesting.
Okay.
But the last part was more than because of this was put out from the left apart the theory and to use more examples and I could understand more.
Okay.
And I like it a lot.
Do you have trouble listening to reductions and contractions? Does that make it more difficult for you to understand? Sometimes. Sometimes. Speed also makes it,
For us it's difficult, imagine for the student.
Yes.
But the way he explained it, the way he wrote in the board was very, for me, was very useful. The way it was
the way that the explanation was made. Yeah. He's the director of the
clearly.
program for a reason.
Very
And I don't know, Nicole, if my colleagues will agree, but in Brazil, when we teach our students that this is informal, so they should try to avoid that most of the time, only when they are talking between themselves.
Okay.
And so when he said, "Oh, everybody here talks like that," so
yes,
because he was very he emphasized you
you
to
have
tell
to
your
exactly.
students that people speak like this.
they do, because America's a very informal place. Like just like we have no formal you.
He told-
Most countries in the world have a formal
He
you.
told it's not grammatically correct, but you have to tell your
have
students
to.
this is the way we speak.
It is. It definitely is. And I think, the more your students can listen to, movies and
Music,
things like
songs.
music, it's in there so much, and
All
that
the
really
time.
helps to practice. Yeah.
Until for us, it's difficult.
Yeah, sure. It's something to practice. Okay, so reductions and contractions and working on that. Anything else that you took away from either one?
I like the both, Nicole, but see, I think the first one, teaching low-level writers, I think it's more useful for us to teach in Brazil for our students.
Mhm.
In my case, okay, oral, it's important, but I think I work better with writing or reading,
Mhm.
but it's good to teach oral.
Were there any specific strategies to use with
Yes.
low-level writers that you learned?
Some tips.
Some tips? Okay. Good. So all of those things are also things you can include in your observations, and as you're doing your action project, that's going to be helpful to you as well. I know you're getting tired. We're almost done. Okay. Last thing is homework. Okay. You have until Tuesday. Okay. You have 5 days to do this homework. Okay, you don't like this. I do like you very much. Just think about this. If you're overwhelmed by how much work you're having to do, just remember that I am making this course from start to finish and have spent like 100 bajillion hours on it. So, let's breathe. Chapters 2 and 3. Tuesday, that's 5 days, okay? And that's really it, other than going to your observation and recording what you see. So your only homework is to read 2 chapters, okay? Because the observation, you have to go there anyway, and you'll be taking notes while you are there.
But
Okay?
you're going to talk about this in the week 2.
We're going to talk about it in week 2, yes?
What do you mean by report?
Writing down, yes.
Sorry.
Writing down. No, sorry, writing down. Sorry, no, record meaning write down. Now let me tell you this also. Okay, some of you seem to be freaking out over how much there is to do. You are adults, and you can prioritize. If you feel like your priorities need to go somewhere else, then put them there. You know? So there are times when you might not be able to get this read. I mean, the world's not going to end. You know, do what you feel you can do.
In the end, Nicole, it's not difficult in the end. Because we can discuss together this like today.
So don't worry so much.
We know because we were so worried about this. I'm going to tell the truth. This chapter, number 1, and this text here, we were so worried about it. And came out that when we arrived here, we all discussed together, and the ideas came, we did the work.
So you were fine. So don't worry what I'm telling you.
I'm not your worry. I'm going to do what I do.
Any other questions before you go to the yes?
These observations, do we have to write it?
No. All you have to do is take notes and be ready to talk about it. Okay? Not a formal report of any kind. Okay?
Record your content.
Like write down. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes? Yes, okay. If there are no more questions for the group, goodbye. I will see you Tuesday. Enjoy your long weekend.
Because it's about the place where I'm